Welcome to the InterViews podcast.
Prima intenzione, Bobo anticipato, palla vagante, mette giù, Mercato, il tiro,
Welcome, Interisti, to episode 155 of the InterViews podcast, the official podcast of SempreInter.com. We are here for, can't quite call it the post-summer reaction just yet because there's a few more days, potentially some more activity to get done here, but nevertheless, we're closing in on the season. Business is not done. We got to talk about what's happened so far. We got to get ourselves into gear. There has to be a mindset shift, Interisti, from Mercato to the season starts, and we're going to start watching these games coming up here soon. So that's what we're here to do. Episode 155, which I think is great numbering to head into. What is this, Johnny? Our fourth season doing this?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I guess we are going into our fourth season. Holy cow.
Yeah. This might have been the most interesting of the summers that we've had to cover. Interesting. I don't even know if that's the right word. But nevertheless, as always, I'm one half of your co-hosting duo, Johnny Paterno, and I'm here with Alessandro Rafa. No, sorry. Roles reversed.
Holy cow. He doesn't know who he is.
It's been a while.
That's how upset he is with this transfer. He doesn't even know who he is. He doesn't know where we are.
It's been a while. Johnny, I know that you've got a lot that you want to get off your chest, as do I. As do a lot of Interisti. I think they're going to be listening to this with some feelings about what's going on. But I'm going to do my best to keep us structured here. So when we think about reviewing this summer, I'm thinking about it from a few different tiers. How ownership went about the summer, how management went about the summer, the coaches, the players, and so forth. What I want to start with, and what I think most Interisti are really upset with, is the management. Beppe and Piero Ausilio. In what's been a very chaotic summer, and I think what has bothered me the most is the disconnect between what we've been told versus what has played out in reality, and we'll get into what that actually looks like. But Johnny, you told me heading into this summer that you didn't think we were going to spend money. I was convinced we were going to spend money. Who's right? Has money been spent? Is this the kind of spending that you feel comfortable saying, hey, we didn't spend anything? Or should I be happy with the dollars that have come out of the market so far, poured into the market so far?
Look, I'm sure people are going to have, we're going to have difference of opinions with this, right? Like, now, do I think on Sucic, money well spent? When you get a player of that quality for that low a price, I am over the moon. Truly. And then with the rumors that he's starting match day 1, I'm even happier. So
sub 50.
Yeah, that to me is money well spent, especially given the quality of player that he is. And then you look at where we spent money on other players. We spent more for players that I think are lesser quality. So yes, money was spent, not to the way that I would have liked. When I'm seeing rumors that we're going to go, buy, Giovanni Leone for 35-40 million, I'm excited about that money being spent. And some people were like, oh, like Interisti too, were like, oh, is he really worth that? Do we know if he's that good? Like, there was a time where we spent that level of money on Alessandro Bastoni, which if you look at it from back then is more money than what we would have been spending today. And look how that turned out. Now, I'm not saying that Leone's going to turn into another Bastoni type player. I think he's going to be a very solid player. And at 35-40 million, only 18, 19 years old, that's a steal, in my opinion. You don't find players of that caliber who have Serie A experience like that for those price points. And then Lookman was the other name. And that money was, I was excited about that. I'm like, wow, this guy could really complete our attack, give us more of a trident, especially if he's playing right behind the two strikers. I would have felt great. And then you could have had instances where Boni subs in for Lookman, and maybe you push Lookman up, and Thuram comes, whatever. There could have been so much tactical flexibility with that potential signing. And then it comes out, Atalanta said, oh, no, we said that to everybody but the Serie A, whatever you want it to be. I was excited. And then we have the news that comes out today, which I'm sure we'll go into. And, I got my own thoughts on that. And I'm not happy with the way this Mercato went. Oh, I'm sorry. And I forgot Bonni. I didn't mention Bonni. I am excited about him as well. I do think that that's a really good player there. It's a massive upgrade from the bench, not having guys like Correa, Arnautovic, and Taremi. When you go look there and you see Pio and Boni, I feel way better about that aspect. But I think if you look, there wasn't movement from this management in terms of outgoing players as much as we would have liked. And I think that some of the players that we did let go, specifically, Alexander Stankovic, who looks like an amazing player so far for Bruges, like even his appearance in the Champions League qualification, he looked phenomenal. So I to just let him go for that cheap, and then the buyback clause being that high, what are we doing? If you sell him for 10, you should get at most 13, 14 million to buy back. And then maybe in year 2, it goes up a little bit more, and then it expires after that. I'm kind of fed up with this management. I think Auxilio has to go. I really think that he just goes out for free dinners and he doesn't really get anything across the finish line. Nothing really gets. I hope so. And I think, when you think of, what's his name, the sporting director at Sassuolo.
Carnevale,
yes, thank you. That's the guy that I think would be someone worth looking at, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And then Marotta, what have you done? Seriously, what have you done? You develop all these relationships. You have all these good things, and then you sell Zalewski for 17 million to a club that doesn't want to deal with you. Now, granted, yeah, maybe he doesn't fit tactically now because of us now probably having to stick with the 3-5-2. Okay. But he also played pretty well as a mezzala when he was thrown into that position. You bought him for 6, you flipped him for 17. People are going to be like, oh, well, you made a profit. Okay. But you still gave up a great young player who showed promise. You gave up on him faster than you did Tejan Buchanan. Like, make that make sense for me. I'm really frustrated in a lot of ways, and who knows? Maybe this new guy, it will prove me wrong, just like Dumfries did. Although I was excited about Dumfries initially, and then once I saw him play more, I was not. Yeah, let's end rant.
No. It's all reasonable stuff, and I think So you had tweeted the other day, like, the eternal optimist, Alessandro. So I definitely do skew that way. I am also really unhappy with a lot of this Mercato. We'll get into exactly what I'm unhappy about. I do want to address one thing, though. There's been a line for Interisti expressing their unhappiness this summer that, like, let me give you an example of what I think is ridiculous criticism versus, what's reasonable criticism. For example, and this is not a shot. Huyan, he's our boy. He's a good friend of ours. But, like, I remember him tweeting something about, like, Bepe's blind because he hired a PE teacher. Talking about Kivu. And, like, Kivu is not a PE teacher. He's a little bit more than that, especially for Interisti. We're talking about a treble-winning coach. So it's like, I've seen a lot of just people shitting on Inter and bringing up Inter, when I think the frustration is really with a very specific aspect of the club, which is Beppe Marotta and Piero Auxilio. And they deserve a lot of the shit that's away. I don't think I hate their summer as much on an individual deal basis as I do as a whole. Like, collectively, all of it together has been pretty horrible. But I didn't want Zalewski to leave. I think he could be a useful player, whether it's at Mezzala, whether it's at either wing, whether it's in a 2 behind the striker. There was a number of things that he's a really talented player. But is the deal the worst thing in the world? I don't think so. I mean, what was his ceiling going to be? They flipped him for a quick buck. Is it going to allow them to do some stuff later on? Johnny, I like the player. I'm just giving.
But we didn't know what his ceiling was going to be, and you gave up before you could even give it a chance to see if it's going to be something.
Sure.
But then we hang on to trash players like Christian Aslani, who we all know is absolute garbage.
But we were not trying to hang on to him. We were trying to get rid of him from the start of the Mercato. So I don't really get that.
Mercato. But we knew it even before last Mercato that he was trash.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They had trouble moving him.
And we hung on to that bum even longer.
Yes, but I mean that's I don't really understand that argument, because if somebody came in and paid your price for Zalewski, that's the reason why he left and the reason why Aslani was still here. Nobody wanted to pay Aslani's price. And the people that wanted to pay Aslani's price,
He didn't want to go.
didn't want to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. So fine, but like
I got a problem with
you,
with
any
him.
other management group is forcing players out. They're like, hey,
I agree.
you got no future here. Get the fuck out. Leave.
100%.
And we are doing nothing. These guys are just like thumbs up their asses. We're the nice management group. We don't want to step on any toes. We don't want to offend this one. No, we don't want to complain about the ref screwing us over. We're going to be nice, gentlemanly. Oh, that's it. No, but everybody be kind in the media. Do you see anybody else doing this in Serie A? Atalanta doesn't want to sell to us, right? What do? They dig their heels in the ground. This is what we want. You pay it or no. He's not going.
Mm-hmm.
And we decide not to pay it. We don't pay the 50 million. We haggle over 5 million euros instead of getting a quality player in. And so we give up on that. Okay, cool. And then we pivot, and then we pivot, and then we pivot. And all the players that we're tied to don't make sense. What formation are we going to force with? Then you're putting Christian Kivu in a situation where now he has to play a formation that he didn't really want to play. He did want to go to the 3-4-1-2. That was what everyone saw that he wanted to do that. So Lookman made like the most sense. Now he's going to go stick with the 3-5-2 because why? That's what Inzaghi did. And why? Because the management doesn't want to have a squad revolution. They decide to just...
Do we know that to be real? Like, can we say with confidence, like, everything that you're saying right now is the case?
You know what? We can't say with confidence.
We can't say it.
I'll say it with confidence.
Okay.
You don't have to agree with me.
Okay.
I'll say that this is what happened. And now we're putting Kivu in a situation where it's pretty much a lose-lose for him. I am not going to have any ill will towards Kivu if this season is a flop, because he wasn't the first choice. We didn't really have a plan. That's another thing that I have upset with this management. We didn't really have a plan when Inzaghi left. The plan was just, oh shit, Fabregas, please come. Como. Another thing, Como's like, no, you're not fucking getting our manager. Like, who do you guys think you are? He's staying here. He's staying with this project. Okay. They played hardball. We don't get... And then it's like, hey, Patrick Vieira or Christian Kivu. And that's it. Every other good manager is gone. Allegri was gone. Conte stayed. We didn't want Palladino. Fine. We didn't want to even talk to Italiano. Fine. And that's it. We just went to a guy who had limited experience at Parma, although I do like the experience he had, and I was impressed with what he did. But to take that jump from Parma, when you've had maybe 13 to 15 games of first-team coaching, now you have to go to Inter, different pressure, different players, different personalities in the dressing room, not the same youth that you have, because it's easier to have influence on young players who haven't really carved out a name for themselves, as opposed to players who already are established. And maybe your message may fall on deaf ears. I'm just speculating with that. I'm not obviously sure how the conversations are going, how the players are accepting of Kivu, but you're putting him in a difficult situation. The guy's a club
100%.
legend that now if he flops, the memories change. The legacy changes with Kivu if he flops.
I agree. They should not. They
and
should
that's
not
because of your management.
Hanging out to 100%. I agree. I am 110% agreeing with you. I maybe think the Kivu cynicism is a little overrated. In my opinion, there have been plenty of managers with less top flight experience than Kivu had that have come into huge jobs and have hit the ground running and done well. Every indication, and I know it's like, what do you expect them to say? Every interview.
Can you give me some examples
of what?
Of managers who stepped into huge jobs and hit the ground running?
Was Pep not one of them?
You already have Messi at your disposal.
Okay, but that doesn't take away from my point. I'm not saying. I'm saying
I think
managers can step into big jobs and they can do a job. How many teams was Fabregas managing before, he got into the Como job?
None.
Okay, Arteta.
Okay,
like
what is Arteta?
Maresca?
Hasn't won a trophy.
But I'm not. But he was successful. He wasn't sacked after 5 weeks, Johnny. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. What argument is this,
bro? Like, because you're bringing up these guys as if they've been like, oh my god, like absolute home runs. Like Yeah, like way to go.
I'm not saying that that's a reason for the reason why Kivu's going to be a home run. I'm saying that it's not a reason for us to be saying Kivu's a PE teacher. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm okay. Yes, you could be calling out Huyan for that. I'm not saying he's a PE teacher.
But
He
I didn't, Johnny. I'm just making a point that cynicism about Kivu, in my opinion, is a little bit overrated. Because there
I
have
do
there
agree
have
with
been
you, but I'm
coaches
also
with less experience that have done well. Number one, I forgot the rest of the points that I was going to make about. Oh, also that the players and all the interviews, like they seem to. Bastoni literally today in an interview said we're gonna have success with Kivu. He's a better Carlos Augusto. Every interview you see from him, Lautaro, when every interview that he said he's mentioning Kivu. Like,
all
I'm
right. Now
just saying that there's
let me just play
that.
let me just. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Reasons to be positive. No. Go.
I think that there are reasons to be positive about Kivu. I'm trying to talk about the management, but I'm just saying,
No, and I don't disagree with you. But I also think, what are the players gonna say? Like, are they gonna come out and say like, "Yo, he's shit"? Like, I don't want to play for this guy.
Of course, and I said that before I even said that. But like,
yes, you did.
What do you want me to say? For me, I'm more positive about Kivu than everybody else seems to be. I don't think it's going to be a fucking disaster. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying it's going to be a disaster. I'm just saying if it is, I'm not going to put any blame on him.
I agree.
I don't have a problem. Like, you put Kivu in such a difficult situation. Like, and no offense, you're gonna have guys like Sasha out there who are okay with just top 4 and okay with a round of 16 exit in the Champions League.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not. I want to win. I want trophies. I want to win the Scudetto. We have the talent to win the Scudetto. I do think that he has a little bit of, what's the word? He's a little green behind the ears, or whatever the phrase is. He's a little green. He's a little raw as a manager.
Sure.
It's not fair to have those expectations on him because of his limited experience. Like, it's easy, no offense, but like it's one thing for Fabregas to go to Como, right? And he gets him from Serie B to Serie A, and he gets him to stay up. Cool. There's no pressure though. You don't got to worry about anything. Cuomo's not a successful like legacy club where if he does flop, he could go on to his next role, and who knows, maybe Barcelona wants him after Hansi Flick leaves or something. Like,
I understand it's a big job for a coach who hasn't had a ton of experience, but at the same time, part of it being a big job is that it's a big club, and Kivu just so happens to have been a part of this organization fairly recently, coaching in the youth setup, has a familiarity with the management team and so forth, has a familiarity with the club, has a connection with the fans, has a connection to the jersey, here for the greatest period in this club's history. If you watch a press conference, if you watch anything about, like, this is a guy who's going to pull out his fucking teeth before he lets Inter fall by the wayside. In my opinion, I don't think things are as dire from a coaching standpoint as a lot of people are making it seem.
But like, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Look at what happened with Milan when they brought Pippo Inzaghi. He bled black and red, fell by the wayside. Clarence Seedorf flopped there too. Gattuso flopped there too. Like, they brought guys who were pillars of the great Milan teams, and they also did not get backing from their management, and were allowed to fall by the wayside. And now their legacy at that club is seen differently. And that's the only concern I have for Kivu. I don't want that to be his fate. And I hope, hey, you know what? From my mouth to God's ears, that he turns into this fucking world beater and we win the first 10, 11 games out of the gates and everyone's praising Kivu and he's able to overcome this and we beat Juve, that'd be amazing. And I'd be so thrilled for him. And it would also obviously shut up the people who were like hard doubters. I did not really like hate the string of Kivu. I just thought that you're putting him in a situation that's not fair for him. That's all.
I agree with you. And I think, like, if you can bring up a point, let's say about Gattuso or Seedorf, I can also, counter with other examples of managers that have come on the job without much experience and have done well. Like, I'm just saying.
Sure. You just can't use Pep because that's an unfair one. That's all. Okay. That's all I'll say.
Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. As you were talking there earlier, I kind of got it through my head that maybe we should just go one by one through the summer and kind of grade how management has handled these situations. So, for example, Inzaghi leaving for Al Hilal and us getting caught flat-footed with no money in our pocket and him leaving us immediately after the Champions League final when everyone else was reporting it, all the reporting that's been done since, that it was obvious that he was having these conversations. Like how are you considered Beppe like the king of, you know, the sporting directors in this all the success that you've had in this sport, in this league, in this country? How do you get caught flat-footed, no money in the door over that? That's a big fat zero. Then the Champions League finalists flying to London to negotiate face-to-face with Fabregas, a team that finished outside of European places in your own league, and you can't get him. And then in the press conference, I know you got to save your ass by saying Kivu was absolutely not a second choice, but like you're just we saw it happen. What do you mean?
We know he was. We know he was. Like you can't fool us at this point.
We watched it play out. We watched after the humiliation of the Champions League final, the humiliation of your coach leaving you high and dry with not $1 in your pocket to show for it. The humiliation of Fabregas saying no, and then you bring in Kivu. That's how the summer started off from a humiliation standpoint. Luis Enrique comes in, 25 million euros. You know, we can't really judge how that transfer is going to be unless you want to judge it based off of, you know, you think that money should have been spent elsewhere.
Yes.
Okay. You don't seem to be a Luis Enrique fan. You don't seem to think he's going to do very well.
No, I'm not. I didn't like what I saw from him at Marseille. Just when I saw at the Club World Cup was even more concerning.
What about the last few friendlies? Because the Club World Cup, who gives a shit?
I mean, the last few friendlies, like, I don't know. I don't think that's what they are. They're friendlies, right? No one. I don't think anyone's really taking those seriously. Again, listen, if he comes out and he's an absolute menace on the right side and proves me wrong, like, I have no problem admitting, hey, I was wrong. Like, that's fine. I don't like what I've seen.
All right, Sucic deal was a mega win, I think. Well, knock on wood, we don't know early on.
I think in terms of value, though, across Europe, forget about just Inter. I think you look at the value and the potential there. At 21 years old for 14 million, that's the signing of the summer, in my opinion.
I'm knocking on wood here because I feel very similarly and I want it to work out. Okay, good.
And I've liked everything I've seen about him, not just the friendlies, even before that.
Okay, let's say so. Massive humiliation from Inzaghi, from Fabregas, from the Champions League final, how all that was handled. Big win with Sucic, who was signed early in the year, and that was a Piero Ausilio scouting, Bachin kind of situation. They had the opportunity, they had a good relationship with Dinamo, and they got that done. 25 million for Luis Enrique. Maybe they were already too far down the path. Maybe it was something for an Inzaghi. They decided like they want to honor it in case Dumfries was out the door. So they spent that money. That's remained to be seen. It doesn't look like the greatest deal as of right now because it was 25 million allocated on what looks to be a backup right wing back / backup left wing back. So that doesn't look great. Bonni wasn't signed in time for the Club World Cup. 25 million euros, has looked fantastic during the preseason. No question, I don't want to hear anyone say that he hasn't looked like a fucking game changer.
Has anyone said that?
No, I'm saying I don't.
Okay, all right. I was like, if someone said that, please call them out.
No, that deal, A+, B+, C.
I think I'll give it a B+ right now. That could go higher at the end of the year. Like, let's see the impact he has, right? Or if, God forbid, someone goes down, is he able to step in? Right now, I've loved it. Like, I mean, the goal he scored against Monaco, like, that was such a great individual effort. I know I was, like, discrediting what Luis Enrique did and giving credit now to Boni, but that run, you still have to do it. You still have to dribble. You still have to maintain your balance there in the box and be able to finish like that. What wasn't the greatest finish, but who cares? It went in. Like, I don't need it to be, a wonder goal. We need goals, right? And when push came to shove last year, there were times where we just were not scoring goals. So to be able to do that the way he did, and just the physical traits that he possesses, definitely excited about him for sure.
Confirming Pio Esposito.
Confirming, I'd say that's got to be an A. Like to not let him go and to turn down offers. Supposedly Man U wanted to come. I don't know how realistic that was, but I think it was good to hang on to a player, because this is a guy 19, big, strong, who can become maybe the next Luca Toni, maybe the next Christian Vieri for all we know, and he's a little bit more techie than I think I originally anticipated. I didn't get to see a lot of him at Spezia because we don't get the rights here, but what I did see in terms of highlights, I liked it all. I think he's going to be able to step in and be a good player for sure.
It did take a lot of courage to go from, Inzaghi, who wanted Arnautovic and Correa backing and Taremi backing up the forwards here, to go with super youngsters. Like, Pio is a certified kid, even though he's got a body that, like, he's rough and tumble. Like, he can step up in there against Pavlovic and the rest of the center backs in Serie A. Bonni, 21 years old. So that's a big change. If we talked about wanting to get younger, more athletic in the forward department, they went ahead and did that. Soon after Bonni and Esposito get done, Valentin Carboni, who looked pretty good in the Club World Cup, goes to Genoa. I think they basically pay us. It's a straight loan. Like, he's definitely coming back here. There's no option. There's no nothing like that. He's going to get play time. He played, for them in the Coppa Italia. He scored a goal. What do you make of that deal in hindsight now?
I mean, I think it's good for his growth. I think he needs minutes. He was going to have a hard time finding that at Inter. So to send him to Genoa, which is probably the only club we have a decent relationship with in Serie A, to be honest. Like, people want to talk about Atalanta. No. Yeah, I'm happy for him. I think it'll be good too, especially given, the knee injury. Now you get to see him kind of like work his way back up to what we were seeing, before the injury and what we were excited about. So hopefully he can continue to grow and we could see if he's going to be a midfielder, if he's going to be a second striker, like where he's going to fit, what his best position will potentially be.
Yeah, I think if we were to go the 3-4-2-1, a future setup where, like, if we would have had a Lookman and a Carboni behind a Boni or a Pio, that would be something that I think would have excited Interisti for a long time to come. All right, then comes the Stankovic deal. He leaves for 9 million euros. We can buy him back for like 25 next year. It seems like, based off of this Andy Juff deal, that they wanted specific, and the interest in Manu Kone, and the interest in that Cisse kid from Rennes beforehand. It wasn't really about just a defensive midfielder. It was about a box-to-box, a runner, which I don't think Stankovic necessarily is. I'm not sure how much he would have played in this team, whether it was a 3-man midfield or a 2-man midfield. Like, why don't you walk me through? I don't love the deal structure, but I don't know that I hate that he's not going to be on the team for next year, and we still have the option to bring him back. For this season, still have the option to bring him back next year. Like, where would you have seen him playing?
With this Inter, no, he wouldn't have been playing. But
if Hakan left, then that's a different story.
And that's the thing. Like, that's the thing that kind of gives me a little bit of hope. Like, if Hakan leaves, maybe next summer, you got him to potentially buy back, which I think would be a smart investment, because at that point he'll be 20 years old. And if you think about it, like 20 years old, if you have to buy him back, like, I don't love that that's why we worked the deal, but it would have been nice, like, he is strong. He's a strong player. His upper body and his ability to balance, shielding the ball when he has it deep in the midfield, like in front of the back line. I think there's a player there. I think that he would, fit in very well at this Inter. I think that he's it's funny. I was more excited about Philippe than I was Alexander. And now I'm more excited about Alexander than I am Philippe. I still think Philippe could be a great goaltender. The goalkeeper, sorry. No question about it. And Stankovic has, the ability to score free kicks. He did at Lucerne, I think once or twice. He has the long ball playing ability. I'm not saying he's going to be Hakan, but he could be a very similar player. I mean, I think that he will continue to grow at Bruges. His first 3 games, he's done very well. So for 23 million, I think I would exercise it next year. Like you said, I don't think he would have had a place in this team this season, but there is a player there, and I think that it's one that we need to definitely keep an eye on.
I agree. And the deal structure, like, yes, it's going to be an outlay, but, if you treat it like 25 minus 9, like, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world if he ends up blowing up, but regardless. TJ is sold, 9 million, take it. Don't really care. I'm happy that didn't turn into a saga where we couldn't get rid of it. All right, Johnny, this is when things start to take the turn for the summer, where there was excitement about how things were shaking out. The Leone rumors, like, they had started early on in the summer. People were getting excited. This is pre-Lookman, pre whatever. This is where I believe the directors really fucked themselves and set themselves up for failure. The Hakan stuff, like Marotta calling out Hakan directly, that was really stupid. But I didn't give it that much interest or attention because it was like, I didn't really get it. Like, they moved on. It is what it is. I didn't think it was an indicator of problems to come. But then here's where things start to get fucked. You have Auxilio saying things like, Aslani, we've told him he's on his way out. Within a few weeks, Aslani is playing preseason friendlies. Something's not right there. The kid is turning down a move abroad. He only wants to move in Italy. Okay, no problem. Christian, you're not playing any preseason friendlies. You're not training with the first team. You want to stay in Italy. Whatever team you want to go to, they have to give us an offer by August 1st. You're not, there's no training with us. We told you you're out. I don't know what the nice guy routine is that we tend to do, but that shit, it's got to stop. And it leads us to a situation with Aslani. As of today, he took his medical with Torino. He turned down Real Betis, that was 9 million up front, I believe. He turned down Bologna, which was 10 million up front, playing in Europe, and a percentage of the resale.
No one said he was smart.
But here's the thing. He also turned down Sassuolo. He was saying the whole time, I want to stay in Italy. I want to be competitive. He had that opportunity with Bologna. What happened? We get 1.5 million loan fee out of Torino. No purchase obligation, just an option. Because his agent is Marco Baroni's agent, is several other players on Torino's agent. And he basically forced this fucking move to Torino, which could have been done weeks ago.
I really hope that we force them to not play him against us.
I don't think we have any clause like that.
We're so stupid. This club's a bunch of idiots.
I don't think we have any clause like that. But my main criticism of that is, like, the handling of it. If all of this, from the moment Auxilio says he's no longer part of this team, ends up with 7 days left in the market, and we get a 1.5 million loan fee from Torino, why the fuck couldn't that have happened 2 months ago? What was all of this for? If that's where his agent wanted to take him, we didn't know that months ago. We really thought we were going to get 10 million out of Bologna, and he ends up turning it down. I mean, that's crazy mishandling. That is, you got stomped on by Inzaghi, you got stomped on by Como, you got stomped on by this, and that. You got stomped on by Aslan. He made a fucking fool out of you. He made a fucking fool out of you. You can't get in front of a camera and say you're not part of this team, and then the kid is part of the team in every fucking friendly until the last week of the summer to get 1.5 million. That is embarrassing. Embarrassing. Next part where things start to get, again, pretty fucking hairy. Beppe is sitting down in press conferences and saying, and this is when the Lookman rumors start to come out. He gets asked about Lookman. He doesn't really say much. He just says, which he shouldn't have fucking said it, we're gonna speak with Atalanta and see what the conditions are. Okay, Beppe, everyone's talking about it, but you didn't need to. Now you opened up the cans. Now, how is it supposed to be anything other than, well, if you don't get him, you told me you were talking. If you don't get him, guess what? And then in the same press conference, we need to have players that can allow Kivu to play different systems. Okay. Lookman was the only one. Don't give me Akliush. That wasn't real. Don't give me Sancho. We were never gonna put his wages on this fucking team.
Imagine.
For a thing. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I just want to
I love it.
Set the scene for like, okay, you got kicked in the dick all summer, and then with this Lookman shit. Let's talk about this Lookman situation. I think Atalanta really fucked this up. It's not. This one is not just on Inter. This one is not just on Beppe and Piero. Because I'll tell you, 45 mil for him, it's good value. They're not getting it anywhere else. They're not going to get an offer from a Premier League team. Atletico said that they were out. This thing is heading towards... You're going to keep him on the team when Juric came out in the media and said, like, you know, I don't want him playing for us. Or, he doesn't want to be playing for us. You're going to try to reintegrate him in the team after 2 straight years of failed deals? All because of what? Take the 45 mil. Where do you think you're ending up? For me, that's bad business by Atalanta. I don't know if you agree.
I mean, I still think that we fumbled it, you know, by being pretty stupid in what we were offering and not offering or whatever. You know, yes, I think it's bad business to keep a disgruntled player, a player that you made a promise to. I think that kind of sends a red flag to the rest of the squad for sure. But I also think that we were pretty stupid with our unwillingness to maybe pivot sooner and put pressure on Atalanta. Like, hey, if this is your only chance to get rid of the player, but hey, we're moving on. If you don't just give us what we want, you know, like, why not start? There was rumors that we were talking. I mean, maybe like this was like in the middle of the season, like March, April, like rumors of Sem Stein from Twente.
Our boy.
Yeah. Why not call up Twente and be like, yo, how much do you want for Sem? Who is an attacking midfielder who plays?
He moved to Feyenoord.
But not.
I get what you're saying, but
like that's. I mean, yes. All right, that's a bad example because yes, he did move. But like, why not pivot or something or find somebody else that was in the same position? Like he was the only option. That was the only guy out there.
Yep. And none of the other moves none of those other names when they were talking.
Were not real. Were not real.
They were not real. They were just not real. I don't know if it was names given to the media, whatever. There was no, and Zazzaroni has been the only one that seems like he had it right the whole fucking time. But this is the other thing about the Lookman deal that I want to talk to you about. Every single one of these journos decided to get involved. Like they had some fucking source. As a management, every single Mercato specialist is talking about this Lookman deal. And there's got to be bad information getting out there. Just bad information that's making you look bad. At no point in time was there ever a thought of like, hey, we need to get control of this narrative. Like just come out and say like, we made the written offer. If Atalanta tells us a price and that price is 50, you know, we'll pay it and walk away, but we're not going to make an offer of 50 just for them to say 55. Like, at some point in time, everyone is talking about what the strategy is. You might as well just come out and say it. If anything, you can force Percassi's hand. Not that it's got to be 10 days of like, every single day it's being reported, well, Bepe's just waiting for Atalanta to set the price. Dummy! He's not setting a fucking price. He's not telling you. Go out in the media, give one of your little fucking powwows and say like, hey, if Percassi tells me it's got to be 50, we'll do 50 and we'll make this a deal. At least force the hand a little bit. The length of this saga made no sense. The lack of control over the narrative of this saga makes no sense. The lack of a real alternative makes no sense. This whole Lookman deal has been an embarrassment for the club. And again, the reason why I wanted to discuss everything that happened this summer is because it's another example of us getting kicked in the dick this summer. Champions League finalists! 2 out of the last 3 years. Swing and a miss on coaches, getting bullied by Como and Atalanta, getting bullied by fucking Aslani in our own building. What happened to the lauded fucking Beppe Marotta? And then I'm seeing all the, the Italian side of Inter Twitter defending Piero from Cinisello. That this guy, if you really knew what he's doing behind the scenes, what's happening? We didn't get any fucking wins this whole summer. Let's move on to another name. But last thing on the Lookman thing, is there a non-zero chance for you that this gets done by the end of the summer?
No. I'm at 0.
I'm at non-zero. A little cheek. A little end of Mercato cheek. I don't know.
No shot.
Okay.
Andy Diouf was the final signing of the summer.
No, it was not. They'll get a defender. But, okay. Let's shift over to the other, not really a lengthy saga, because it was never really like we were actively negotiating the way that we were doing for Lookman. But Giovanni Leone. Perfect match, right? Kivu was the one that stuck him into this stardom that gave him his shot. He started the rest of the year when Kivu was there. Kivu mentions Giovanni Leone in a fucking press conference. Actually, a journalist brought him up, but he said that's the future of Italian football, along with Pio Esposito. Get him on the same team, huh? If the Lookman saga is the reason why you lose out on Leone, let me tell you why that's another fucking embarrassment for Inter. You took all that time to now say, oh, you know what? We actually don't need to add another attacker. What we need is a midfielder and a center back. It took you this long to get dragged around by Atalanta to figure that out. Again, you're getting dunked on. You look like you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, as soon as you were getting pushed back from Atalanta, you pivot and you go to Parma with the same money and you just get it done. 35 plus 5, whatever you want to call it. You want to get a little bit of a bidding war with Liverpool.
What did he go for?
35 and change. So, but you probably get, like, Liverpool probably tries to come over the top. But if that happens,
at least you can show the fans that you bid 35.
Yeah. And you know
what?
On
an 18-year-old.
Force him to go higher. Like, I mean, I'm saying Liverpool, not but if we both offer the same thing, I'm sure the players' will would have been to stay in Italy, and that would have won. But no. You keep saying, oh, we're gonna have conversations on Friday, Tuesday, and you drag it out and you allow Liverpool to just come in about literally 6 hours. They got that deal done. It's crazy.
I can't imagine a world where if we're gonna end this Mercato with Andy Diouf and a center back, why it couldn't have been Leone. They said they have like they didn't say, it's been reported they have around 80 to 90 to spend. Diouf was 20 plus 5. Why couldn't this have ended with Diouf and Leone?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we got Leone, I would feel way better. But now we're gonna get a center back who is not gonna be Inter quality. Like, who's out there that we can get for 30, 40 million?
I don't love
nothing that I'm seeing that I love.
No. But I also think with this Diouf thing that they're keeping it close to the chest, that it could end up being a player you like. Like, what if it was De Bast, for example? It's not going to be, because the Sporting is going to want 40. But I'm saying, like, what if it was...
Pay the 40. For De Bast, pay the 40, bro. Because that kid, yeah, it's a baller.
What about Solet? What if it ends up being Solet? For 25.
Have we seen anything about those accusations about Solet?
I don't know. I haven't.
Like, that's the only concern I have.
I am concerned about that too. I agree.
I like the player, but if that ends up being something where, he's like, do you want to throw 25 million away for a guy that might never play for you? I don't think so.
It would be hard. I can argue that you could have ended up with the Mercato with Leone and Diouf anyway, and that the only reason you didn't is because this was a really poorly managed summer where you got dicked around by fucking everyone. Everyone took advantage of you. In-house, other clubs, coaches, the media, they embarrassed you. They ran circles around you all summer. Let's talk about Manu Kone. That would be a fucking amazing signing, wouldn't it?
I mean, it would have.
Would have been a fucking amazing signing. First of all, Roma needs to sell. That's just the reality of the situation. They need to. Apparently, Masada had a deal in place with Inter. He was ready to go. Ship vetoed it. Again, I could argue both the Lookman and the Kone deals are pretty fucking bad business from the other teams. But either way, even though that saga lasted a day, it was just another punch to the gut. It's not good. It doesn't feel good for your fans who are coming off of an incredibly tough year to get bullied this summer, to swing and a miss on everything.
What I don't like about the Roma situation, yeah, like I agree with you, bad management. It shouldn't have been something like this, like especially if Masada had it, a deal. Like Roma do have to sell. They can't just keep buying, and not have anyone leave ever. Like it just makes no like they're the only club who could get away with this right now in Serie A for some reason. Like I don't know what the Friedkins have on anybody, but apparently, like, listen, I'm not saying this because we have Nick Diani all the time, but why was Lazio banned when they're always one of the balance sheet winners? They can't bring anybody in, they don't sell anybody, and usually whenever they sell somebody, that's only what they use to bring people in. But Roma can be in the negative over and over and over again, and it just doesn't make sense. So I thought that this deal would definitely come through because they had to get some money in the door.
Me too. And listen, it's not, if it was 40 plus 5, like, yeah, that would be a bargain. For Kone, yeah, I think he's a stud player. But I don't know. I don't see anybody else at the table. And the deal was done, too. It was a matter of the owners, vetoing it. We talked about the Zalewski stuff. Seba Esposito, we've spoken about this all summer. Aslani's out, so here we are. We stand fine at goalkeeper. What's going to happen with Pavard? Is he going to be part of this team? And if he's gone, what are you bringing in?
I don't know. That's an interesting one. Like, I do think that there's some regression there, and I feel like it's more so a lack of interest. Like, I don't know if he really cares anymore about the game. Like, I think he likes the lifestyle more so than the actual game. And maybe I'm wrong, but like it just feels like the passion isn't there. Based on what we saw with the Club World Cup, and I just feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect.
The injuries.
Yeah, I mean, so like if you get rid of him, like I don't know, man. Like I just don't like what we have left. You have to bring in 2 center backs then. If you don't,
definitely,
or if you do sell him.
Yep.
I don't know, what options are there. We've kind of missed on, well, obviously we missed on Leone. I'm trying to remember who the other guy, I mean, Zeno de Bas. That changes my mindset of like bringing that name back up if we were able to do that. I'm trying to remember who
De
who's the guy?
we were targeting him.
Oh no, Coney de Winter would have been Coney Disaster at Inter.
Saying,
yeah, no.
It was probably the move that we were going to make if Pavard went earlier in the summer. And now he's in Milan, which for some is a good thing. Zielinski's on this team still. How'd that happen?
Yeah, don't know how that happened. Gosh, I truly don't know why he's still there.
This is and then you have.
And it's not that I don't like him.
No,
I just don't.
You're just not counting on him.
Yeah,
Biasin also sold us earlier this summer the idea of a revolution, and then you look at the team sheet, as I'm doing right now. Zielinski's still here, Fratezi's still here, and he's got like a hernia that he's working off of. So like I don't know if anybody's coming in for him this last week of the window.
Biasin is such a scrub too.
Aslani's gone. Darmian is still the Joker. Di Marco, like, hope you have a good year because it would have been nice if Zalewski got some time over you. Is Luis Enrique going to play on the left now?
Whatever. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with him. There's rumors he might go to Turkey, so maybe that's a sign of him not having the quality. But I mean, there was Danilo Doecki. Was
Danilo Doecki, yeah,
a name we were tied to last summer.
Matty Smets, Belgian.
Who?
Matty Smets, Belgian kid that we were tied to. Johnny Taremi's still here.
Yeah, we can't get rid of him.
Taremi is still here.
You know what's a name that I don't know where he is right now. I think he's somewhere in Germany. But Teate, who was at Bologna,
I think he is in Germany.
I think he's at Frankfurt.
Yeah.
But that's like I would I
He's
would
at
want
Frankfurt, yeah.
to pick up the phone on that guy.
But then you'd have to kick Bastoni inside.
Would that be the worst thing? It's not like he's the paciest left center back. I don't know. Maybe you don't do that because you take away. I mean, I still think he could play out of the back from the center.
Have we covered all the things that we're upset about with?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
management?
I just know I was very upset coming into this, and I don't know if we covered everything I'm upset about. I kind of wish I wrote it down because when we were talking before coming on to record it, I probably should have wrote some of it down because I did have some things I wanted to bring up. But you know what? Let's just go into the other topics. We wanted to talk about. I think.
All right. But let me just to wrap this up here. 2 questions. What business gets done here with the last 7 days? Incomings and outgoings.
I don't know. I got zero expectations around. I'm just so deflated with this management group that I don't really have anything that I picture coming in. Now there's stuff. I mean, I don't think Zeno the Boss is going to happen, but now you got that in my head, and now I want it to happen. So I'm kind of mad at you for saying that.
Beat the drum. See if somebody sees it from me.
Nobody listens to me. So outgoings, there's still a few that I want to see, but I don't think that we'll be able to move them, especially, Taremi or Zielinski or, especially now that you bring, I mean, I still would rather play Zielinski over Mkhitaryan personally, but, I guess we'll see how this year plays out.
I think Taremi will find his way out for a €0 deal, whatever it is. The reason I say that is he's not been a part of the equation all summer. The guy isn't Aslani's age. He's 32, 33. I mean, this is it. You can't waste time on the bench. They're going to play Bonnie and Pio. They're not playing you. So figure it out. If you got to take a haircut, if you got to whatever, this is it. Your career is on the line here. So Taremi's out for me. I think a defender comes in.
I hope so. I hope you're right, but I don't know.
Maybe Lookman comes in. No, I don't know. I'm still holding out.
That's dead.
I don't know why something in me is a little piece.
It's dead.
It's a little piece of me that feels like maybe. All right, let's get into predictions for Serie A. As always, preseason, we tell you what we're thinking. So, do you think this is going to be a good Serie A season?
I really don't.
Are you excited about it?
I'm not excited. I think I'm.
Does the lack of excitement about Inter make it feel like this is going to be a fucking brutal year?
I think so. I don't feel good about any of our teams in European places. I think it's going to be a year where people are like, Serie A is a bunch of frauds.
I hate that.
And I think that that's unfortunate. I mean, I just think, one, we can't keep up with the financial clout that the EPL has. And I just think that makes it even harder for us to we're not closing the gap. They're just making the gap wider. And it's just, like, it's a shame. Like, it's disappointing how things played out in the UCL final, because that may be the last time we see an Italian team in the final for a while, unless some things change. Something happens with a TV deal where we get more money in for these clubs, or
unless some club hired a former treble winner and magic happens, and who knows, man. I'm just saying.
Listen, if that happens, I'll buy you whatever kit you want if that fucking happens.
Putting it out into the universe. I'm just trying to get.
Bro, you could put it out into the universe, but unless the Lord Himself comes down and blesses this team, I don't know if that's gonna happen, man. So
for it,
there's it is definitely a lack of excitement. I don't know, based on even what I see from the preseason coverage, or lack thereof, I should say, from like Paramount or really anything out there. Like, I got into a bit of not a debate, but like just a conversation about how the EPL has all these content creators, right? And I'm thinking specifically on YouTube. Outside of Sharma, the AJC, and you could say, the Italian Football Podcast, I don't know of anything like major that's out there.
Yeah.
Like nobody with like a big backing that is covering it. I'm not a fan of what are those clowns in Brooklyn?
The Italian Football TV, IFTV.
Yeah, IFTV. There we go. I'm not a fan of IFTV. Like, so maybe that's on me because I'm not fans of theirs and I don't want to watch their stuff. No offense to Peter, but I feel like we because we don't have anyone really talking about it, there's nothing to get excited about. Like, we just talk about Inter. You know, I mean, Sharma talks about Inter, but he also I liked what he did the other day with Lex. You know, about the best U23 players. Although, no offense, Lex's picks. Just tell me you picked the best players. Really, like, you know, I wasn't really surprised by any of those picks. And then the fact that you didn't even, you know, you didn't go up for the best pick with Cuomo. Like, shout out Sharma. Talking about the kid I wanted at Inter, Martin Baturina. Yo, honestly, Nazario was joking around, you know, tagging me on everything with Croatian players. I'm starting the CLM, bro. Croatian lives matter. Starting the group. Let's get them. Let's get all of them at Inter. This is what I want. But no, all jokes aside, like, I feel like this league deserves better coverage. It deserves better content creators, better platforms on television, whatever it is, to be able to talk about it and maybe get people excited and get them interested in a league. It is very historical, and there's a lot of great clubs with great history in this league, you know,
Also,
except for
it's
that.
a great league to watch today. Like,
I mean, it
people
is.
always bring up the history, but like, it also still is great to watch. Like, it's an exciting league, you know, week in and week out. It's not the dinosaur league that people try to make it out to be.
But yeah, that's you know, it's just a shame. I'm not as excited about this season. I don't know. Maybe because I expected more in the Mercato. Maybe it's because it wasn't as much of a turnover as I thought it would be. I just wish that some other things had come to fruition here and allowed us to have more of a squad revolution. That makes me think like, okay, like, we're getting younger, we're getting, you know, we're passing the torch on to these guys. It just wasn't the case. You know, even you look at the other clubs, except for Milan, we're getting Jashari, and nobody really did anything major. You know, like, I would argue that Napoli overpaid for Lorenzo Luca. You know, like, as much as I think that he's a good player, I don't think he was worth that kind of a fee, you know. But I don't know. It's just hard when you see the EPL throwing money around and getting all these names in, and, you know.
I think the pessimism around Italian football is warranted. They've given us every reason to be pessimistic, missing several World Cups, like the gap in not necessarily quality, but money between the leagues growing. You mentioned the content creators. I think Mark Goldbridge is going to get one Bundesliga game a week. Like, the Bundesliga has found a deal to make the overlap is getting a Bundesliga game as well. So the Bundesliga is making deals with PL content creators so that eyeballs on their league, the PL, go to the Bundesliga. Italy doesn't even have a deal with India to broadcast the TV. So it's just,
To me, that's, I mean, I know I was like, you know, Nima and Carlo were making a big deal about that. I'm not as upset by it. You know, like,
well, it's important from the perspective of that's a pretty big market that they don't
it's a
have
big
any.
market, but we're already not doing a good job in the markets that we're in. So, like, what does it matter if you're giving
Because
trash
it costs
quality?
it costs them nothing to be able to stream the league. Just make a deal. It's not a hindrance to them to be able to get a foothold in any of these markets that they don't have a foothold in. Then what are you going to do to start doing well in the markets that you're currently in? You're not going to beat out the PL, so try to expand.
You're not doing anything to improve it. When you have guys like Marco Messina and Mike Grella as the face of Serie A in the U.S.,
It's not going to make a difference. If they could put Del Piero over there, that's not going to move the needle.
I think
That's
it
not
does
gonna
move the needle. I think it does. And if you get, you know, then you actually start trying to find content creators in the U.S. to help, you know, pay them to make them, you know, be, hey, like, come check out this game. I'm going to be, you know, flying out to Bologna to watch Bologna Genoa on this day, whatever, you know, like, they do a couple reels, a couple TikToks, whatever you want to call it, and you're getting more eyes on it with a younger crowd who may not be as interested in it. They're more interested in the Barcelonas and the Real Madrids, but you could be opening people to this league a little bit more. And I think if you have Vieri, Del Piero, maybe Chiellini, you know, talking Serie A on Paramount instead of, you know, an MLS guy and another guy who, you know, knows the right people, you probably get a little bit more credibility, at least. I think that's what is hurting is you have guys who bring no credibility to this league covering it.
Yeah, I don't think that that's not a problem. I think there are other problems that could easily be taken care of, but I digress. Why don't we work from back to front on this one? Give me your relegation threatened sides. Send 3 down. Talk about as many as you want.
So, I mean, I think 2 of them right off the bat are teams that just came up. And it's going to be Pisa and Cremonese, in my opinion. I couldn't tell you a player that Cremonese side. I don't know who they are.
I think they
I'm not going to pretend.
Basquito.
Did they really? And that's probably the only one I do know. But yo, why did Lecce let him go though? That'd be upsetting. And Pisa, I just don't think that even with the players they did bring in, it's going to be anything too special. I feel like as much as we hate them, Sassuolo's going to find a way to stay up. And I think this year is finally the year that that Hellas Verona goes back down.
We got the same 3.
Really?
Same 3. I toyed a little bit. I don't know how you feel about Parma, but I think they're in trouble a little bit.
I think they're going to be in trouble for sure. And I think, Sassuolo's going to be around there too. But they always find a way. They'll probably beat us both games this year, to be quite honest. Berardi is going to do his typical score against my favorite team and let them know that they should have signed me 7-8 years ago or whatever.
I really like that Pellegrino kid from Parma.
Mm.
He reminds me of Batistuta a little bit. I don't know if you saw the goals that he had.
I mean, I do like that shout.
He was really good in the Coppa Italia. They were playing Pescara, but still at the same time, he looked really good. But I just think 26-year-old, how old is their manager? 29?
I think so. I think he's 29.
But, young coaches who have no experience can become the next Pep Guardiola, so who knows. All right, so we're sending down the same 3, Verona, Cremonese, and Pisa. Top 4.
See ya. Top 4.
But give it to me, like, who's challenging, who's fighting for...
All right, who I think is honestly going to be challenging for the top 4, or for 4th, I'll say, are going to be Bologna. That's my sleeper pick. I really have like high expectations for them, and maybe that's unrealistic, but I am a big fan of Bologna and what they've done. I think Juve is going to be fighting for it. I don't think that it's a guarantee that they finish top 4. Who else did I have? And I'm going to have to go, listen, I'm a hater. Call me a hater. I don't think Roma is going to be, I think they're going to be fighting for a European spot. It's just not going to be a top 4 spot. And,
you're giving the teams that you think are going to be in and around the 4th.
The 4th.
Okay.
Yeah. These aren't my top 4.
Okay.
This is who I think is going to be around 4th.
You made me nervous.
No. No. That's what I said. That's what I said.
My bad.
No, I said that these are the teams that they're going to be fighting for 4th.
Como?
Nah, I think that's they spent $100 million, but outside of Baturina, I'm not excited about who they brought in. I'm not sure
Rodriguez doesn't get you excited.
I think he could be a good young player, but is he going to be able to handle? Like, I feel like you have more freedom in La Liga to do some stuff. I think you're going to deal with a little bit more physicality in Serie A. And you saw how those Spanish boys in Barcelona were crying about everything that Inter did. So how's this guy going to do with a whole league of that? And maybe he proves me wrong. That's fine. But like Morata, Como fans are excited about that. You're going to be more disappointed with how many sitters he misses. So I don't think they're going to be, fighting maybe a European spot, but they finished 10th last year. I think at best they finish 8th this year. They still need some more to bring in. I think Lazio, a lot of people want to talk about, they didn't bring anybody in, blah, 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 but they also didn't lose anybody. And they did get Cancellieri back from Parma, who was out on loan. So he seems to be doing pretty well for them in the preseason. And they got no European football to worry about. So I think that that's a very realistic thing that they're competing for, at least European, maybe top 4 too. But my top 3, I'm gonna put Milan 3rd, Inter 2nd, and I only say this because I think Kivu is a little bit, he just doesn't have the experience that this team that I hate now, Napoli, has with Conte. I think they're still gonna find a way to win the league. Now, health plays a factor, right? Because the year we won the Scudetto, there was no big injuries for us. So if we stay healthy all year, then maybe that turns the table. And if they they're already out with Lukaku, for the first 3 months. So that could help us. I think Conte is, the guy is a mentality monster. That could be the difference in a game here or there that gives them points that maybe we don't get.
So Conte's your 1, Inter's your 2, Milan's your 3, and who's your 4?
I think it's going to come down to. I really do think Juve and Bologna are going to be the. Yeah, I'm a big. I like the veteran presence that they brought in. I think Orsolini would have had more assists last year if he had a player like Immobile who was as clinical in front of goal to be able to put some of those crosses in. And Santi Castro, we were rumored to be wanting him. I think maybe this is the year he takes that next step up and ends up being a 15 to 20 goal scorer this year.
Interesting table. There's a couple teams that are not going to be talked about today that I want to at least just shout out and get your opinion on them. Torino with Baroni, Udinese with Runjaic, who was one of the better coaches in Serie A last year.
Yeah, he was good.
And Vieira with Genoa, who he did a job with them. Any of those three teams do you see, potentially surprising, sneaking into the top half of the table? Do you have expectations for any of those teams? Who's going to be the hardest out of those three?
So you said Torino, Udinese,
Genoa.
And Genoa. I think for my own purpose and interest, because of I'll be watching them because Garboni's there, I'll say Genoa.
Yep.
But I do think that and Vieira did a really good job last year with them. Although I still think Gilardino was let go
too early.
Kind of too early. And then you have who else? And then Torino should be pretty good as well.
Yeah. I'll say the toughest out is going to be, I would have said Udinese because I really like Runjaic as a coach. I'll say the toughest out of them is going to actually be Genoa with Vieira. I just think that they're going to play like that Johan Vasquez kid back there. Like they're just going to be biting at your ankles, and then plus the elegance of Carboni to finish you off. So, all right. My top 4. Fourth, I'm going to give it to Juventus, not because I actually think teams like, Como, Bologna, Atalanta for me is not going to be a factor. Roma, I think all those teams might Bologna be better than Juve, but they're going to find a way, whether it's, controversy, whether it is what it is. I don't want to get into it, but I think Juve somehow finds their way to that 4th spot. In 3rd, I'm going to put Napoli. In 3rd, I'm going to put Napoli. Lukaku out for a little bit of time here, multiple competitions. The way that some of these pundits, like Patrick Kendrick and Nima Carlo are talking about KDB, like he's not older with bad knees playing in a Conte team. They're talking about potential player of the season. I don't know which competition he's going to play in, but it can't be all of them. So I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem like. To me, my number 2 team, Milan, because I'm always picking my guys first. To me, my number 2 team, Milan, the Modric signing is way better than KDB. Way better. He's going to have a way better impact on the pitch, 100%. I think they had a good market. I think Allegri is a good, is going to be the right coach for them mentally to turn them around. No European football. Milan's going to be up there all year, in my opinion. I'm going with my guys first because I've done it every single year. I don't have the ability to not do it. Unless we truly, truly fall out, I'm going to support my guys first. So, yeah. Milan and Napoli challenge for the title, but I have Napoli in 3rd for sure. For me.
Okay.
Hey. Should we do players?
Do we want to do what, best signing or breakout signing or?
Yeah, let's do a bunch of different things. Player of the season.
Do you got one lined up? Because I'm struggling.
I got 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Leao is going to score a lot under Allegri in that 2-man, and they're going to play on the counter. He's going to score plenty. Or Lautaro. I think, big boy, put the team on your back, captain type season. Less mistakes as last year. A little bit more time on the bench. A little fresher.
Okay. I'm gonna go with jeez, bro. It's so freaking tough, man. 'Cause there's like player of the season is going to be. See, I don't want to be boring and pick the same one, but like, yeah, I guess I am gonna say Lautaro. Like, I really can't think of anyone who can have that big of it. I shouldn't say that. I don't think that they could have a big impact, but it's like I don't realistically think that they're going to have the seasons like McTominay's not going to do it again, right? Like that year, great season. He's not going to repeat that, right? When I think of, I look at the other teams like at Juve, I don't think anyone at Juve is going to have a great season. I don't think anyone at Milan, even if with Leao, like I think that they're going to play too defensive for him to really have that big of an impact. Maybe he'll score timely goals and they'll win games, 1-0 here, 2-1 there, and but it won't be as big as we think. And I think that it'll turn into, a little bit of a point of contention between him and Allegri potentially. And I don't really like anyone at Napoli yet. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with Lautaro, player of the season.
Breakout player of the season.
See, this is one where it's a little bit more interesting.
It's a lot more interesting.
And I
A
have
lot more interesting.
the thing is, like, one guy I don't know if I want to put as signing of the season or breakout player of the season. Like, are we looking at this as players who already have been in the league?
For me, it doesn't matter whether they just got in or they've been in the league. You want me to give my pick?
Go ahead.
Last year, an Argentinian number 10 took the league by storm, Nico Paz. This year, it's going to be same deal, Valentin Carboni at Genoa.
Ooh, wow.
Breakout. He's going to shock people.
Okay.
He's going to play with a vengeance. My number 2 for this, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
Pio Esposito.
So, all right. Pio is probably my number 2 as well. And I think it's because I don't want to be the homer. I've got a little bit more of an outside the box one. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders because of who he's replacing. But I'm going to go with Nikola Kristovic at Atalanta. I think that there's a really good player there. If it was between him and Boni, in my opinion, like young players in the Serie A that I would have liked, I'm happy we got Boni because he's a younger one, and I think that he's got a little bit more of a higher ceiling. But I think Kristovic now in this system with this team, a lot more talent around him. They still have Brescianini, they still got Samardzic, they brought in Zalewski. I think that Kristovic could be the breakout player of the season.
I like him too. I like him a lot too. And I'm not a Juric person. But I
Me
know
neither.
he constantly gets called a Gasperini disciple, but he is a good player. I think Santiago Castro could have been a good shout too.
Yep. I mean, I've thought about Sucic as well because, obviously I love him.
Yep. Pellegrino. There's some good players out there.
There's a bunch of good players.
Baldanzi could break out. Okay, let's do the opposite then. Who is falling on their ass flop of the season?
Now, are we saying like flop signing or just flop player?
Let's make it broad and make it flop player, but not like, oh, this player sucks. Like, oh, this player has a certain level of expectation that people are putting on him that I'm not confident he's going to be able to reach.
Okay. I don't know. See, I don't know if this is a fair one. And again, it might just be because of my own annoyance with them, but I don't think Evan Ferguson at Roma is going to be, even though it's just a loan, I don't think he's going to have the impact that they think he's going to have. I liked him at Brighton, but I also think they played a system that worked well around him. It's not like he's the most mobile forward or really that great in the build-up, but he was also able to get in the box and do some stuff there. So I think that he's going to be a bit of a flop. I mean, signing particularly, but I thought he's just a flop player in general.
Yeah. I think it's a solid one. Not to be painfully obvious, but I'm less high on KDB at this stage of his career in this league than a lot of people.
Nah, do something different. Like that one was an easy one. Come on. Because I would have said that too then. Like I was like, all right, I can't go with what I thought would have been the obvious.
All right. I'll go with a deal that I actually saw today that I think is insane. Roberto Piccoli for 27 million to Fiorentina. What are we doing? What are we doing? What do you mean?
What do you mean? Yeah.
What is that?
That's highway robbery?
It's just insane. It's just insane.
Like, did they owe a debt?
For me, that's more than Bonni. No, that's a flop right there.
I think that's a great one. Yeah, that's a great call. I love that you picked that one. Yeah.
I mean, that's nonsensical. All right. What else can we do with this one?
Signing of the season.
Signing of the season. Signing of the season.
I'm going first because it's obvious.
Me first or you?
I'm going first because my pick is obvious. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to say it too. Sucic. I think Sucic is going to be the signing of the season. I think we're going to have some trouble in the summer because I think clubs are going to come in with like big money offers for him. Yeah, I did have, obviously, like, I love the Baturina signing. I think Maximo Perrone at Como is another interesting player that was brought in.
He was there last year though.
But they're keeping him. Like, I think that he's gonna like be a little bit more of a growth this year. Like, they didn't, they kept him from Man City. There we go. Holy God, I couldn't even think of it.
This is so crazy. I'm just like going through. We have had Serie A as a whole has had a fucking horrendous window. Horrendous.
I mean, yeah, like, I've literally had who's come in, who's gone out on my screen on Transfer Market right now, and like
I'm supposed to say Jashari. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, like Jashari, no. Like, I do like Colombo at Genoa. I think that's a nice pickup. A young player who, I mean, it could be a flop. It could be, I'm definitely going to watch some Udinese games and see how this kid plays. But Lennon Miller, he's an 18-year-old from Motherwell, Scottish. A lot of Scottish midfielders do pretty well in the Serie A, and I think that he could be, an interesting get there. And then, yeah, I did say Baturina. I'm trying to think, was there anybody else that stood out?
Miguel Gutierrez is going to be good.
Who?
For Napoli, the left back from Girona. He is very.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's.
You got any high hopes for Leon Bailey?
Nah, man, because I think Aston Villa thought the same thing, and he wasn't that great there. So, like, there was that summer that Aston Villa spent all that money. Leon Bailey. I forgot what other midfielders and strikers, and I think that was the same year they brought in Danny Ings, and none of them really panned out. So,
all right,
no,
I'm gonna go with Sucic as well. It's just not much else to be excited about.
I mean, Kristovic could have been a good one too if you wanted to be different. I'm cool with it. Sucic is the guy. Not Boni?
Fuck Atalanta. Boni, I could do it too. You never know. You really don't know.
You know what other player I think is going to be a flop, though? Is Sam Bakuma.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of his.
Yep. Jonathan David at Juventus.
I don't even want to bring up Canadians on this podcast.
Estupinian? Ricci?
That's your opinion?
Yeah, let's do Sucic. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a great year. What are we playing, Monday?
We're playing Monday, which upsets me because, now I got to wait I was hoping to do it Sunday so we could record right after the game Sunday. And I got to now, drive straight home from work, do that.
Can't miss the first episode of the year.
Well, I won't be missing. Well, the first game I won't be missing, and we're going to have the first episode.
I really want to get into the season. I hate the Mercato. This is all.
You know what it is? Now I need to just stop having expectations. That's my problem. I expect the worst with these stupid owners we have.
Yeah, let's get Piero Ausilio.
Get him out of here.
Out of here. All right. Are we done?
I think we're done.
In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.